in this episode.
It's going to want to go in towards your body and down, which is what the shots are going to be doing for a right-handed shooter. So reduce the tension completely, see if that helps, and then start doing that high five thing to get the concept first in your brain, knowing that, okay, it does not help at all trying to fight this recoil. I just want this gun to slap me around and let my eyes return it back down.
In an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. Welcome to another edition of the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast. As usual, we have dogs surrounding us. We have jinglings. We have little guys trying to jump on couches. We have big guys snoring and all the other great stuff. We have one trying to throw up right now, I think. But with that being said, we really do appreciate you guys swinging by to check out another episode. As always, we have the wonderful co-host, Jefe. How you doing?
I am back.
You are back.
Back from the dead.
It is.
Been
You
gone for
call
two
you
episodes now.
Lazarus. Lazarus. He rose from the dead.
I would say there's a lot of people that rose from dead. But no, yeah, I'm finally back, better than ever, and ready to get back to our normal
Yeah,
schedule.
You're a little bruised.
Yes,
beat
a
up
little bruised.
bit.
Yes, we did some force on force today, and I was the force.
Yep.
That I got forced upon.
Forced to be reckoned with.
No, I was not a force to be reckoned with. Let me tell you. I got shot up.
There you go. Well, I am Mark. Welcome to this edition. We have a very special guest that we have found through Instagram and have really been interested in a lot of the things that he's doing. He's going to talk about that in this podcast. But before we get into that, two things real quick, housekeeping, admin stuff. Number one, if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, we'd really encourage you guys to interact with whatever platform you are listening to us on, regardless if that is like leaving a comment of what you like, what you don't like, giving us a thumbs up, or however it works on whatever podcast you're listening to. Apple Podcasts, StreamYard, or not StreamYard, but what's the other one? Spotify. There we go. Or however it works, we would really appreciate that. And then, as always,
A tarot arm.
So we really do appreciate them. I just got back from Kalash Bash as we are recording this and got to meet the guys face to face. They are just a really good bunch of dudes. Very, very warming, welcome. It's almost like we know them. And they actually have a really good sense of humor. I went up to their booth and said, "Hey, do you guys happen to have a J-frame mount?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, let me find it here real quick," and started shuffling around. And he said that if Jefe had shown up, that he was just going to shuffle around for like 5 minutes trying to find it.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Get you pissed off.
That's fair. Yeah, Terra Arms, the premier sponsor of this channel and the number one maker of J-frame Acro P2 mounts.
Yep.
So if you guys are interested in getting an Acro P2 mounted onto any J-frame platform, they're also doing K-frames here shortly. Just hit them up on Instagram at Atero_arms or
something like that.
Something like that.
Just
Google Atero Arms. Send them a message. Said I sent you there. Get X amount percentage off your J-frame, K-frame.
Yep. Use code Live Laugh Larp podcast for 0% off.
Yes.
All the good things. But
for your pre-order, you're probably like 69% off,
something like
or
that.
Something like that. So
hey, did you hear that I took 72nd place at Kalash Bash?
Yeah, you texted me that out of 73.
No. 333, and it was my best showing. I had a really good time, and part of that is because of the Atero Arms mount that I had set up on the M90. So I really do appreciate what they're doing for the AK community, what they're doing for us at the podcast, and thanks again. Okay. So with that being said,
we're here with Jay from ShepDev. So Jay, who are you? What do you do?
Howdy. I'm running Shepherd Development right now. It's a shooting page, really, shooting business for training and virtual training. I've been running that for about 3 years now or so. It's always been kind of the behind the scenes thing as a part-time for my actual work. It's still running in that way right now currently. I'm hoping to eventually get to full-time system where I can actually run full-time classes, but right now it's just part-time virtual training and some individual training with guys outside of work, and that's where I'm at right now. doing videos online, breaking stuff down. Here I am.
So,
Awesome.
yeah. So, Mark kind of alluded to it. We, I don't actually do. We have an intro or in the precast. I can't remember. But
Yeah, it's probably in the precast,
but
we came across your drills, they
The
call it the
trials.
trials, and there's 3 different shooting iterations, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And one of which is just like death by burpees. It's crazy. But it really starts to show some of the gaps in your abilities, not only physically, but mentally. It's kind of a stress shoot. We wanted to give an opportunity to kind of talk through some of these the trials and allow you to kind of explain, where they came from and all of those types of things.
Yeah, the trials, man, like you said, that's a stress suit through and through, right? We're trying to come up with a way to make it as difficult mentally to shoot a drill as possible. Like an individual on the range coming out there, how do we make him actually feel that, like that actual tension in the brain and through the body while you're shooting a drill without anybody else watching? There's no audience, there's no pressure other than just you being on the range by yourself. And a lot of times we're obviously adding physical stress to that with push-ups and runs and stuff like that. But really, you can do as much physical effort as you'd like and then just kind of hold your breath and shoot. And it's not really adding any stress mentally to you. It's just physical stress you can kind of overcome. So we're trying to find a way to make this so the physical exertion is part of the time, and that way it's a buy-in to the actual shooting event. So the stress really isn't the 20 burpees. It's the stress of, oh, geez, I might have to do another 20 burpees if I fail this. So while you're shooting it, you're trying to focus and get those hits. But in the back of your mind, you're saying, oh, geez, like this is going to suck if I have to do this again. I really hope I make this. And that's where that tension comes from. And we had tested an absolute crap load of different exercises. We were doing sit-ups, push-ups, wind sprints, all this kind of stuff in a 40-second window to try to get a deadly exercise that would really, really suck, that would be sucking wind at the end of it. And really the only thing we could come up with was with burpees after testing all that. Yeah. And again, it's not that it's physically difficult. It's the thought of having to do that again. Like testing this, I was doing 200-300 burpees when I was out there in these sessions trying to get the numbers right. And I think we've kind of got that sweet spot now of, yeah, this absolutely sucks. It's possible and doable. But the tension is there for having to do it again.
So I don't think that was, how you said just a few seconds ago, that's like the internal monologue. I think a lot of the guy, like when we did it with Jake, it was a very external monologue about how much it really sucked. Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I think, and what was even cooler about the video, at least the educational video you have. First of all, the production is fantastic. I don't know who you have doing that, but if it's you or that's somebody, the production on it was fantastic. And then second of all, you're doing it dead of winter. I think it was like 2-3 inches of snow on the ground, and it was still snowing.
Yeah, man. Oh, so, thanks. I appreciate that.
Do you do your own video editing, or is that?
I do, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, you do a bang up job on it. So,
Thanks, man.
We're going to leave all of your contact information down in the description of this podcast. So if guys are interested, or ladies are interested in finding where you are, seeing some of these drills and stuff, and then you have targets to print out as well. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. Just on the webpage there under resources, I got a bunch of free targets, mostly dry fire stuff that you guys are using them for right now. Like those little 6-scale targets. I see a bunch of those floating around the internet. Guys are liking that metrics test and the trials too, but generally I think I've only got around mid-30s of people actually have sent videos in for the trials. So by and large, I think the 6-scale targets and that metrics test are really what people are driving to those targets for.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, how much money are you out for those coins? Like I didn't.
Yeah, it was a few $100, man, but I've only sent 3 of them out now.
Oh, really? Okay. So you said about 30 people sent videos in, but only 3 have passed the test?
That's correct.
Yeah. I was one of those videos, I think.
You actually sent it?
I did.
Well, I would have sent mine, but no one recorded me.
Because we don't care about you.
Yeah, it's like there's like 3 of us out in the range. I'm recording, running everything, and then set all the photos off. Crickets back. But hey, that's fine.
Well, that's what the cameraman does.
That's fair. I'm not the important one. So you have the trials, you have a bunch of other drills, and then you said you do online training. Talk to us a little about what online firearms training looks like.
Yeah, I posted that up about 3 years ago. It's kind of running in the background. That was a hope for me to assist guys with a structure to get into dry fire and actually learning how to shoot. At the time, there really wasn't any full program that you could open the box on a new pistol and go through like everything, all the way up to the advanced skill sets of shooting a sub-2 bill drill. There was no structure to that. It was like, hey, here's your gun, here's how to safely use it, here's how to shoot a target, here's how to shoot a target distance. But there's no actual system to say, hey, you should be picking up your gun and doing this with it daily, working on our, what I call it is the first and final grip. We're working on our TCAS stuff like Ben Stover's talking about, all these different drills implemented in a structure that you can actually come back to daily to see that there's actually progress there, right? So I filmed a bunch of videos and kind of structured that along with a 70-day workout plan that you can kind of follow and make sure that you're actually progressing. You're seeing all those metrics improve as you're going through. And that's where the metrics test came from, is you're testing that at the midpoint and the end point of the course to ensure that you're actually seeing progress through your dry fire. And that's primarily what it is. It's a dry fire course. All the stuff that you do, your workouts, I call, are inside your house. It's 5 to 10 minutes just picking up the sheet. What do I do today? Okay, hop on the gun, make sure you're getting your hands on your gun daily to have consistent progress that we're talking about. It's way better to do 5-10 minutes a day than it is to pick it up when you're super inspired and go down in your basement and just shoot targets for an hour and then come back to it another 2 weeks from now, right? So that's something that I needed in my training at the time. I was kind of seeing a lot of holes and inconsistencies where I'd go to the range, I'd shoot really good, and I'd go back to the range the next day and I'd shoot like absolute crap. And the consistency wasn't there. And I didn't know why that was. So trying to come up with something that I could structure for myself to use. And that's where this came from. I tried to do from what I called is from the ground up. What would I need if I restarted from here, and built it off of that, filmed a bunch of videos to go with it. And that's just thrown up there on the website now that guys can buy and kind of go through. Super cheap. I'm not trying to like hose anyone for it. I was just hoping to get some passive income for some ammo, which has not worked out. I'm certainly still in the hole for that.
Yeah, I just did my taxes last week, and doing all of the deductions for the YouTube channel. I was just like, oof.
Yeah, man.
So you call it work, and you actually just nailed it on the head. I actually just had this with me yesterday, where I don't dry fire every day. I should, most people should be, or at least, a couple times a week. It's not, the ideal would be, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, or before you put your gun on, do a couple small drills. But reality kicks in, family kicks in, work. And then you have one of these. I do it maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, but then I go for like an hour and a half, and then I get so burnt out on it, I don't want to touch it again, or I don't have any metrics for it.
Right.
Because that exact same thing happened to me yesterday. I watched your I think it's on 5 on it. I have 5 on it video where you did that.
Yes, that's Amy 556 drill. Yeah.
And then you did that with like a AL level 3 holster. If I remember that one correctly, one of them you did.
I remember.
Or you had a video about your coming out of the holster, and you were doing level 3 in like 0.8 seconds or 0.6. I can't remember which one. I was talking to 3 people at the time about it. I got super inspired, sat there in my basement or in my garage with my gym, working out, trying to get all that down. And then I did it for way too long, and I'm gonna say sick of it, but you're just kind of like, okay, well, I'm burnt out now. And I went from probably like a 114 to maybe like just over 1 from a level 3 holster. So,
which is still cool. Like, you're still seeing that progress in real time in that training session.
It
My
is.
issue that I was having with that is I would do the same thing. I'd go down, I'd be super inspired. I'd be ripping through a bunch of dry fire reps, and then walk away from there with a ton of stuff to work on that I couldn't really focus on, because I'm not really writing things down. I don't really know what happened in that 1 hour, other than I just put in a ton of reps and I walked away with a 0.1 second increase in my draw. Like, what were the specifics that actually gave me that 0.1? Was it just a bunch of reps, or was I moving my hand at a different angle? What was I doing there that actually helped me improve? So that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm kind of doing like a 90-10 thing, where if I have a session and, again, minimum 5 minutes, it's kind of like that Atomic Habits book that James Clear I think it's James Clear. You guys read that book, Atomic Habits?
I have not. I've seen it all the time, and I've seen the memes of, hey, if he reads one of these 5 books, it's red flags. Don't talk to that person.
I can't read, so it doesn't matter.
So he talks a lot about in that book just setting like tiny goals, right?
Mhm.
So for drive for it's 5 minutes, he talks about like doing like 5 push-ups. Like you can absolutely do 5 push-ups at any time. If you're laying in bed about to fall asleep and you're like, damn it, I didn't do my push-ups today. 5 push-ups is so insanely easy to do that you can roll out of bed and get down there and do 5 push-ups. But when you're doing those 5 push-ups, you generally won't just do 5. You'll hop down there and go, okay, now I'm motivated because I'm actually doing it, right?
Mhm.
Or I've got my running shoes on. Now I'm going to go for a run. You know, they say if you want to develop a habit, go on and put your running shoes on. That's the hardest step, is just getting your shoes on, right? Making that happen. It's the same thing with drive for. You get your hands on your gun and commit to like 5 minutes a day. Super easy. And generally that will turn into more, but you're committing to 5, right? Where am I going with this? I have no idea what your question was.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's the what I've been trying to do, or at least I've seen people recommend, is every time you put your gun on, just do 2-3 draw. Like first clear it, make sure it's safe.
Yep.
Do a couple draws, couple trigger pulls, just to kind of get into the rhythm of it, and then usually what happens is you do 5 good draws with 5 good trigger presses, and then you're like, well, I think I can do it faster. And the next thing you know, you're getting yelled at because it's time to go, and you're still in the mirror,
right?
on at it. So, and
Yeah.
I know, Mark, I think we talked about this like 4 or 5 podcasts. It was like there was like a Japanese thing you called it. It's called a
Kaizen.
Oh, I was going to say like Bushido Bukake or something like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's the
Where it's
Kaizen method, which is it's just incremental increases. You want to improve incrementally day in and day out. Just find a gap, find something small, and fix that. You know, one of the things that I've done over the last, I would say probably 3 years, it is the smallest little thing, but it is the first thing that I accomplish every single day, and that's just as simple as making my bed. I
all right, Jordan
never.
Peterson.
What's that?
Okay, Jordan
Uncle
Peterson.
JT.
First, you just got to make your bed.
I know it sounds silly, trivial, and everything, but at the very least, no matter how bad my day is gone, I know that I've accomplished at least one thing.
So you built.
That's what I was going to say. That 90-10 thing, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of what you're talking about. Is you're picking one thing to focus on, right? So your next training session, if you have 5 minutes, I'm going to spend 90% of that 5 minutes on one thing, and the last 10% of it, I want to explore some other things to work on for the next session, right? So you're not just jumping around from habit to habit. You're actually saying, hey, today I'm gonna jump on my gun here, and I'm gonna work on my pressures on my grip. And if something else comes up in the last few seconds here, I'm not working on that now. I'm going to work on that in my next session so I can actually devote some attention to it.
So you built this entire training program from the ground up. That's helped a couple hundred people now, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's like 205 or something on the website now.
I don't want to ask like the golden secret, but what's like the number one thing you've seen that helps like the aha moment that you see so many times when you explain it to somebody or teach it to somebody when it comes to either dry firing or on the live range, like that's giving you the most like bang for your buck? I don't want to like spoil any like industry secrets that you have.
There's no secrets, man. Generally speaking, the guys that are coming to this program are newer shooters, right? Like it says right on there, beginner to amateur. Guys that are just picking up the pistol.
Perfect for you, Mark.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, the biggest issue we see, right, is that anticipation problem, right? Guys are shooting low left, right? And that big breakthrough moment is, the high five thing that we talk about. You can't even stop your own hand from moving. Like if you pick up your hand right now and just say to yourself, I am not going to allow this to move. Okay. Like you're holding your gun right now, you're going to stop the recoil, and take your other hand and just flick it and it will move. Like that is like no force. You can just kind of tap it. And this is your own finger doing this to your own hand. You know it's coming and you're trying to stop it from moving and you can't do it. And then you start punching your hand and it's moving a lot. And generally what happens is you're pushing more force into that hand to stop it from moving. And then as you keep shooting, because you know the recoil is happening, you don't like it, it's not fun, there's an explosion happening in front of your face, it's very loud, you'll start fighting against it to stop it from moving completely. And then that's where the anticipation comes in of, okay, my trigger's about to break. I'm going to push into the recoil now to stop it. And we can't stop it. Just like our hand here in this little high five thing, flicking your hand, it is impossible to stop it no matter how strong you are, right? So just kind of that breakthrough of the concept of accepting the recoil. You need to return the gun to where it was, but you don't need to fight to do that. It doesn't matter if the gun is lifting up to, say like 30 degrees up in the air versus 10 degrees. If you're shooting 0.15 splits, that gun is going to return in that time period anyway, no matter how high up it went, right, in recoil. So fighting it back down there is really only going to push you past your original point of aim, which is going to push your shots low, and it's also going to cause that anticipation. So we accept the recoil, we return the gun to where it was, and don't go any further past that. Just let the gun slap your hand and smack it around, and then just keep your eyes on target. It's going to return with very, very little effort, and you can move on from there.
What do you recommend for people shooting low and left, especially with Glocks?
So it's very specific.
It is a very specific question.
It's a very
I'm the worst. I can shoot one of my carry guns right now is the P365X Macro. I love that pistol. I shoot it very, very well. The other pistol that I carry a lot is the CZ P10C. Again, really like it, shoot it very well. But the moment that you transition to a Glock, I lose everything. I'm always low left, and my accuracy, goes from fist size to, dome size. And yeah, it's a train wreck.
Yeah. So the first thing is just reducing that tension, right? Your firing hand is the one that's pushing the shots low left. And generally your left hand is going to be kind of like your catcher's mitt, right? So if you do have a bad flinch and you're pushing those shots low left, if you have a very, very firm support hand, I'm assuming you guys are both right-handed.
No, I'm actually,
my goodness.
I am the Lord's chosen left-handed.
Good man. Right on. But you're not having this issue, right?
No, I'm not. No, I can.
Okay. Truly the Lord's chosen. Okay. Yeah, so the first thing you should do, man, is try to reduce your tension in your firing hand, like pressure on the firing hand, down to like 10%, like literally not even holding onto the gun. If you're running like a retention rig, that's very hard to do because you have to really force into it to defeat the retention and yank the gun out. But as soon as you've done that, you can reduce the tension in your firing hand down to like 10% without the gun moving around. And you can practice this on the range just with one hand on the gun, your firing hand, shoot with like 100% grip, and then like 50% grip, and 40, 30, 20, 10, and go all the way down until where the gun is actually starting to move in your hand. And like you just go up a few percents from there, and that's where it really needs to be. You're not stopping the recoil or really assisting with your right hand very much. Your support hand is doing all the recoil control for you. So the more tension you add to your firing hand, the more tendency there is to flinch and to start pushing more force into that low left area. Like if you're to make a fist very, very hard and fast right now, generally you can feel that in your forearm all the way down there that it's going to want to go low. It's just doing that even when I'm squeezing my fist really hard. And obviously the area that you're not, the space there is to the left as well, right? So it's going to want to go in towards your body and down, which is what the shots are going to be doing for a right-handed shooter. So reduce the tension completely, see if that helps. And then start doing that high five thing to get the concept first in your brain, knowing that, okay, it does not help at all trying to fight this recoil. I just want this gun to slap me around and let my eyes return it back down. Because again, we're not going to beat the cycling of the gun. Like the Glock will cycle in 0.06 seconds. There's no one here on the planet yet that can shoot a 0.06 split on a Glock that I know of. There's guys running like a 0.09, not very repeatably. But you can't beat the cycling of the gun. So whether it cycles up super high and you're letting it come all the way, like you could let it come to 90 degrees and return it. And if you're not beating the cycling of the gun anyway, and you can't shoot quicker than the splits of the cycle, then who cares how high the gun goes up in recoil? Just let it smack you, because you're going to actually be able to keep your rounds on target as a result of that. So are you guys sitting close enough to high five each other?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we are. High five.
Amazing. Yeah. So Mark, try this. Keep your hand up.
To do about it. But...
So, yeah. Mark, try this. All right. So put your hand up like on the table or whatever in front of you, and just try to keep it completely still while Jefe just flicks it. Just like nice light flicks. Keep it completely still.
That's
Okay.
not working.
Okay, so it's moving around right now, likely. Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
if you don't put enough force into that, so now start just punching it lightly. Okay, so it's probably moving back and forth here. If you don't put enough force into it and he's pushing your hand back and it's not returning to where it was, that's not good either, right? We can start limp wristing the pistol and our shots are going to go all over the place. So we need a little bit of tension. But what you don't want to do is when he's starting to punch your hand like that, is to come forward and meet his
He
fist.
just did
So-
that.
Yep.
Just did while he was looking over at the computer, and I flinched over, and he
Yeah.
Right.
Just a
And
little
so
jerk.
that's exactly what's happening, right? That's your brain when you say, hey, I'm going to fire the gun now, and my fingers going to the trigger. There's a disconnect between how much trigger travel there is left and your brain saying the gun's going off, right? So your brain's like, all right, the gun's recoiling right now because I just said I'm pulling the trigger, but the trigger hasn't been pulled yet. So your body's already fighting the recoil that doesn't exist yet, which is what's pushing those shots low left. So you doing this high five thing there with Jefe, this is for the brain. This is actually really good because you sitting here trying to keep your hand exactly where it is very, very difficult. But when you get the concept of just letting his fist hit your hand and having it return to where it was and no further past that, it's a difficult thing to do even right here. So if he just keeps trying to fake you out, or he's punching, and then the fist comes, gets close to it, and try not to meet his fist. Like that's the concept that you want to win, so that you can take that onto the pistol and apply it.
And that's a concept I've seen in some of the classes that I've taken with other instructors, but they haven't gone to that depth. They just show you that, okay, if you have your hand out, palm facing away from you, and I start punching you, and then I miss, you'll see typically most people kind of lunge forward because they're anticipating, and they're just trying to show that anticipation aspect of it. But what you just said is just kind of breaking it down even further and getting into the minutia to really help some of those people. It's something I really like.
is that kind of like the level of detail that you are providing on this online training, or is this a exclusive because you're in the podcast world right now?
No, it get pretty deep into the why questions there. There is a lot of, like, I call it more of an encyclopedia of shooting. Like, I'm not saying that this is the right option. I'm giving a bunch of options, a bunch of different grips and stuff to try, because we all have different grips. It's extremely unique to everyone, right? Some guys like putting a bunch of fire and hand tension. Some guys like doing the Vogel grip all the way up there. You can do whatever you'd like if you're a GM and it's working for you, right? So for me to say that this is the way to do it is likely not going to work. You have a different gun, different hands, different body, different structure behind the gun as well, which makes a big difference. The rotation of your arms, where your elbow wants to sit, it's all going to change the tracking of your firearm. So I tried to just kind of make it more like an encyclopedia. You can kind of flick through the chapters and say, all right, I'm having issues with this today. So click the video. Okay, here's some things I can try and go from there. And again, like that high five thing's more of a concept, right? Like I try to win the brain first. So you understand the concept of, okay, I don't want to fight the recoil. I can't stop my hand from moving regardless if it's a flick or a super hard punch. So if I try to stop it, it's going to make things worse for me. So if I understand the concept of, okay, the high five is coming, I can't stop it, just allow it to smack my hand and make sure I'm returning it right to where my hand was, no further. And oftentimes, like you guys have probably seen this ball and dummy drill, right, where guys are like mixing the snap caps into the pistol and
Right.
the guys are shooting, and then the guy flinches on the line, everyone laughs at him. I don't think that's very beneficial for multiple reasons, because we are trying to teach that anticipation is bad with that drill, but we don't know if you actually screwed up or not, right? Unless you're running on like a slow-mo camera there and you can detect with your own eyeballs that the flinch happened before the click and not after the click of the trigger. Like, who am I to come up to you and say, hey man, you just flinched? Like, it might actually just be that you were trying to return the gun to where you thought it was going in recoil, which we do want to do, right? If you're flinching after the click, that's a good thing. That means you're ready to start pushing into the gun as it's recoiling to return it to where it needs to be.
So you're saying like 90 years of diamond washer drills for not.
Well,
You heard it here first, everybody. The science has proven it wrong.
It is a very good drill. I can't do that with my own eyeballs. I usually will pull up my phone and run it on slow-mo in live fire instead, And you can do it in dry fire too, but it's very hard to actually see that click and hear the click. So it's easier actually just do it in live fire and put it in slow-mo. And now you have it right beside the gun. So you're seeing the side profile of the gun. You can see that it's level with the sights. And if that dips even a millimeter before the gun rises, that's your flinch, right? And you can show them right there on slow-mo and say, hey man, look, like you can't feel this. You can't really see it, especially if you have iron sights. It's very hard to detect, but this is what's happening. That's why your shots are going low. It's dipping right before it goes off.
So what's next? Where do you go from your first, I guess, level of training? Is there more in depth online training? What are some of the other concepts that you like to cover?
So that's it right now. I just have that virtual program kind of running in the background. I'm doing a few like private lessons online, but that's it for now. It's like a beginner amateur program.
Okay.
The hope is that they're passing the metrics test by the end of it. And going from there, I've had a lot of guys ask for a rifle program. I don't know if I'm going to have the time to do that right now. But going forward, I would like to make some more advanced stuff on there for sure.
So you said you do private lessons. Do they find you on like Patreon, OnlyFans? You're like,
yeah, just through the website there. There's a little contact page.
Okay. So I just want to bring this up, and I've noticed it, and I just wanted to bring it to light, and maybe ask you personally. So all your videos, you're shooting Glocks, correct?
Yeah, generally I have some Canics in there too, but yeah, it's usually Glock.
So are you the believer in the Lord and Savior Gaston Glock and the gift of the pistol? Is that something like you naturally just like in general? Is it something that you just kind of grew up or had to use, and it's just what you know? Like, what way makes you shoot Glock so well?
I had to use it through the institutions that I kind of worked up through. And obviously, as the nerd I am, like, I want to have the same stuff at home as I do at work, which was extremely important to me at the time. And I think now, like, if you're just going to put in time on a gun and get to a high level on any gun, it's going to obviously kind of trickle down to whatever you're using, right? Like you can watch these GMs pick up any gun in the class and generally run it better than the guy that is holding it, right? Like I think Stilger was saying a while ago, it takes him about a week to transition completely to another firearms platform and match his results on his own gun. So it's not something that I'm really concerned about now, but yeah, I started out on Glock to match it. So I wasn't having any of those training scars on my presentation, my dots coming up to the right spot, my draw is the same. And now I'm just kind of running a whole bunch of different crap. I think I have 4 different holsters I'm transitioning through, and I've got the Canics and the Glocks right now. So I only have those 2 different pistols, but it's 4 different belt systems, different mag positions, and it can cause issues for sure. But it's everything that you can work through, right? Like I'm running bullets out on my competition rig. I'm running some mags pretty angled right in the center line on another belt, and then I'm running bullets forward on another one. It's a mess.
It's a discovery. Maybe that's great.
I like it.
So, you have this online side business. What got you into firearms to begin with? Like, was it something you kind of inertly grew up with? Is it something that you just kind of found through culture? Like, talk to us a little bit about that.
Damn, man, that's deep.
It's philosophical, I know. I don't have a list of questions here and of generic questions to ask in an interview. So
nice. We're just going live. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I did the whole paintball airsoft thing growing up a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're into that too.
Yeah, that's how I got my start. I had like 4 autistic sprees through airsofting throughout my lifetime. So that's how I got here. But
amazing, perfect. Yeah, same kind of thing. And got into I did a little bit of military service just in the reserves, and kind of actually got into real firearms at that point. Sold all the paintball and airsoft stuff and just went full bore into that. Yeah, that's the progress, man.
And then you realize how much the military ruins firearms for everybody.
100%. Yeah,
especially in the reserves. I've spent some time in the reserves too, so I've been active. I've done reserves, and both of them have found a glorious way, and everybody listening that's either served or currently serving understands that, you get told you're going to shoot all weekend, and you realize it's probably the most miserable thing you could ever do for some reason.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, I spent 11 years active duty in the Army, and I think in those 11 years, I probably shot maybe 20 times.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
Got him.
I got him.
Got him. But just as Jefe was saying, is I never looked forward to going to the range. Now, it's kind of my temple, my Zen place. I can go and mess up and do all the not unsafe things, but I can mess up on the range trying to do all of these drills and learn ways to improve and enjoy it. Whereas back in the day, it was, if I don't shoot expert, I'm not getting promoted, or if I don't shoot well, I'm going to be made fun of, or whatever the case may be.
Oh no, we still do that.
We still do that.
We
Yes,
still do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Do not kid yourself at all. By the way, is this the mic that got deep throated, or is that yours?
I got that. I got
Okay,
the
you got
deep
the
throat
deep throat
mic.
mic.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Tangent.
Tangent. So, needless to say, we have tried to figure ways to enjoy the shooting sports from the taintedness of the military, which I think is which is good. I just experienced my first
Taint.
I just experienced my first induction into airsoft this past weekend, and that was a blast. I had so much fun with it. Force on force is something that just doesn't get the attention that it deserves, I think.
I'm sitting here with approximately 30 welts from simulations right now, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is so great."
Did you or did you not get paid to do that?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. This is completely side note. So we actually bought I think it's like $120 a pair of the simunition gloves.
Oh yeah.
And I had a round go straight through one and embed into my hand.
Okay, you're not supposed to stop
25
it.
feet.
You can't do the Neo thing.
Oh, it wasn't even that. It was more. I don't want to get into a tangent about of Force on Force, how many people aim at guns, and for some reason pelvic girdles just natural. I don't know what. I don't know if it's part of people are aiming center mass, but then flinching so much during the stress that they're just dropping rounds into the girdle.
Yeah.
And then also you're focusing so much on, you see a gun, you're just looking at it and you start shooting at it.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't mean to go on that tangent.
No, you're good. No, because I can tell from just that little experience of airsoft and what little sim munition stuff that I did in the military is you can go and do all the flat range LARPing that you want, but the moment that someone else has a gun drawn on you and you're bringing your firearm up to return fire, there is a oh shit moment, like this is going to hurt, or I need to do something to get out of the way, and all of the fundamentals, as we always say, revert down to your lowest level of training.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because actually Jay has an entire great video of the reaction video. The reaction, I can't remember what they're called. I'm sorry.
Action
drills where you had several different setups. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you guys found out with those videos?
Well, it's just all depressing stuff, man. You'll likely never win.
Carry tourniquet, maybe a couple of them.
Yeah, the last one we did, I found a guy, on Craigslist, like I said there. That's untrue. However, he completely new, right? He shot a handgun one time, 10 rounds through the mag a bunch of years ago. And so showed up there, showed him how to use the pistol safely, and then asked him, to just point and shoot, right, as fast as he possibly could. And then we added cover in there, and I'm losing all of these times basically unless I'm up on target with ready to go, right? It doesn't really matter if the finger's on the trigger or off the trigger, you're still going to have that same reaction time around that 0.2 seconds. So it doesn't really matter. We add cover though, because that's really the only thing we can mitigate now is adding cover and then distance. So we put the target peeking out a little bit from some notional cover.
Wasn't there a first round hit on the A zone at the headshot?
Oh yeah, man, it was right between the eyes.
Yeah, it
So,
was.
oh, just so disappointed. Uh, so, and then we ran it, 10 times. So he missed the next 9 rounds, but we have a super new pistol shooter here having a very low percentage shot, and he hit it, 10% of the rounds we shot.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved back to distance, and obviously now we've mitigated it enough to where I'm winning in the time department. So if I can get a round on his body, then obviously his accuracy is going to go lower, if not just completely stop the fight. So that's the hope there. We've mitigated it enough that we're actually winning now. But up close there with cover is a 10% chance that you can train your whole life, be super skilled, and then still get shot between the eyes 10% of the time. So super disappointing. I just had to delete that video, unfortunately, because Instagram hated it.
Oh, is it still on YouTube?
Yeah, still on YouTube.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll definitely link that in, because that was actually really interesting to watch. I
Mhm.
mean, just to be able to dissect everything that you guys were attempting to, portray, I thought was really educational.
I think
from my
what
point
you
of view.
also do really well, Jay, is that so what I think a lot of people have have a hard time with when it comes to online instructors. People are posting content, posting training to be on YouTube. The issue that you run into is there's no like science behind it. It's, hey, this is what works for me, or here's how to grip a pistol, here's how to shoot bill drills really fast, here's some reload drills. But you guys are going to like some of the deeper science. Like you only see this with like, centrifuge does this and force science does this, and what's the other one? I'm blanking out that term. The people that like set up mock shoots and have them walk through Citizen Defender or something like that. I can't remember that other channel, but so what other things are you guys kind of looking at to bring out in like this? I don't say scientific realm, but like the kind of like the science of force on force, or science of shooting outside of just here's how to shoot a bill drill really fast.
I'm constantly trying to find more dogma to defeat. The thing that I'm trying to work on right now to come up with a way to actually do this properly is to. I don't want to go in this completely subjectively and say this is stupid, because I haven't tested it completely yet. But the whole sidestep on the draw notion, right? When we're going through like academies and stuff, a lot of that is kind of buried behind this just dogmatic thing that, hey, if you take a sidestep, this is going to be life changing. You're going to get off the X, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other half instructors will say, no, that's not to get you off the X. It's just to remind you that if you're going to do a sidestep in training, then you'll likely try to move actually in reality, right? Because you're at least starting the motion in training. But I think, for the other half of people going through there, this is a life-saving thing that they're going to do a sidestep on the draw. So with that, I was going to try to kind of push that a little bit further to say, is it worth running to cover, or should we be returning rounds? Like, there's a very inverse relationship, I would say, between a guy that is trying to shoot while moving and a guy that is static shooting back at the guy that is moving. So if I'm moving and shooting, I have a significantly harder time hitting the guy that's stationary. And for me, I might be landing, 50% of my rounds effectively, whereas him, he's still probably landing that same 100% of the rounds. Like, my movement speed to actually make a difference in his accuracy has to be basically up at the running speed. If I'm moving at the speed that I can land even 50% of my rounds, it's very, very easy for him to still hit. And like, you can see this even yourself here by, you just kind of take your finger up and put it on something that's moving. And this can be, 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, doesn't really matter. Unless you're really like sprinting across laterally, you just tracking there with your finger. It doesn't take a lot of effort, and it's very intuitive to do it, right? It's just kind of like catching a ball. You're seeing your target move, you want to shoot your target, and your hand just kind of drifts and follows it. So very, very easy for the stationary shooter that's trying to shoot at the moving shooter. But in the reverse, the moving shooter gets a huge decrease in his accuracy if he's moving at the speed that is going to actually be beneficial to him, right? So I'm trying to figure out a way to test that. It might be, with simunition or airsoft. Testing at like a low speed, medium speed, and then high speed, and to actually see the hits on both sides of it to see who's actually winning that.
So, yeah, Centrifuge. You're familiar with their work at all? Centrifuge.
Yep.
Yeah. They had a whole thing about, they did the exact same thing, but with vehicle movement, and some of the stuff they found was just, it was crazy to see how a lot of what you're told is like, hey, if you're shooting, like if you're getting a shot at while you're in a vehicle, it's all vehicles based stuff. But if you're in a vehicle, the best thing to do is drive away instead of return rounds. And what they found was it's actually better to be stationary and return rounds and then get out vehicles. They have like a whole everything from, hey, I'm in park, hands off the steering wheel, all the way to my gun is already out and I'm returning fire, and like the times stamps on all of them. It's just kind of crazy to see how the stigma is. We got taught one thing either at academy or you see it in a movie, getting shot, punch it and drive out of the kill zone, when in reality you're more effective to maybe be stationary and return more accurate fire, mo faster, mo better than hopefully the other person is. And at that point, it becomes a man fight. We talked about that a lot today during our force on force. It was having to do with on cover versus off cover, and all the people that did off cover work, especially when it came to like indoor CQB, it was just pretty much man fighting and with sim rounds, to the point where either they kind of gave up, or I had, me being the notional bad guy, I had to give up after X amount of hits. Right. Compared to the people that were on cover, how even just using a weapon mounted flashlight and on cover, how I couldn't even remotely return fire to them. So the science behind all this stuff is just crazy that I don't feel like a lot of people get into, or at least get to the point where they're curious about it.
Right. And that video you're bringing up was an excellent video. That was probably like 3-4 years ago, right? Or maybe even longer than that.
I can't remember. We had one guy go and collect all their videos. So I don't know if that's something that's openly available on their website right now, or is it something that you have to go to their classes and they release? So I'm a little hesitant. I don't want to get my boy in trouble for talking about the video, but if it's out there on the internet, Centrifuge is a great organization to go look into for like sort of like science behind the shooting stuff.
Right.
So it sounds like you're familiar. Do you take a lot of courses? Is that something that you do on your personal time?
I try to, yeah. I am, we'll talk about this after, but I'm very inhibited by my work life now, unfortunately. So a lot of that stuff is kind of like the virtual training and like private lessons as well online.
Yeah.
Just because it's very difficult to get out and actually do that. So that's another reason why I made a virtual program. There's a bunch of them out there now. I think Farrell just put one out a few months ago.
Nice.
Which should be pretty solid. I haven't bought it yet, but that's going to be something that obviously is likely good. I don't want to speak for it because I haven't got it myself, but I'm sure he's got some good data in there. And that's another dry fire program. You're seeing a lot of these kind of hop up now online, where I don't know if it's kind of like what I'm doing, where it's a structured thing from like start to finish, but it's good to see guys putting those out there now. So you get the work in at home. It's pretty good. There's tons of data online for free, but if you can get start to finish stuff like maybe Farrell's doing as well, that's pretty significant, man.
So what's the course like? If you had to pick one course to go to tomorrow, all paid for, which one are you thinking?
I think it depends on the context of what you're trying to do. I'm always saying that you want to kind of split and silo your training. So say you're in like LE or military and you want to get good at shooting, you get good at shooting first, then you add the tactics in after, right? If a lot of the times we're mixing both those at the same time, so you're on the range, and you do your shoot, and then it's like a scan and breathe and like 360 awareness, push the tactics in there, and we're doing all of this at once, and we're not doing any of it good, right? So I say, get good at shooting, maximize your performance on that platform first, and then add in the tactics after to see what actually is being removed from your performance in the pistol. Because if you don't know where your ceiling is, then you don't know how much you're retracting, right? So say like even with your kit, right? So if I don't know how good I can be optimally, then I don't know what I'm losing when I move my holster back and forth by an inch, or what the cant of my holster is doing. Like just minutia like that makes a difference, right? And if you're just going to go from a total level of, hey, we're going to put all of this in the basket all at once and just see what comes out on the other side. Well, now we're probably not very aware. We're probably not the best shooters. We're probably not the best movers. So I train all those things separately and then push them in. I think scenarios, like you're saying, force on force, is where you make those tests and where you do all the awareness training. Because again, like you're on the line, all right, everybody scan and breathe. Oh, look, the instructor behind you had a knife. You guys didn't notice that? And that's, you're supposed to feel shame from that. But at the same time, you look back there and you do see the knife. And now we're building this conditional response of, yeah, I saw the knife, but like, what do you want me to do? I have a live pistol in my hand. Do you want me to shoot you? Like, what are we doing? What are we winning here? Right?
Yes, you're supposed to do.
So it's, I don't know. That's always been kind of a weird thing for me. You test the total skill set in a scenario, right? And then you break everything down outside of that to build them all individually and put them together where you can actually use it in the most practical and realistic way possible, which is force on force with actual pain, right?
Yeah, pain is a great learner, as we found out today. Is a lot of people, and it's kind of sombering as well. Like I remember one of the last iterations we had, a guy tried to play off cover and didn't do a good job and got 3 rounds to the face. And of course he went through the entire scenario, but you had to kind of look at him like, hey man, you wouldn't be going home today. That's it. Like you're done. Like this would have been it for you. You would have peeked around that corner and it'd have been lights out because you either didn't pay attention or you decided not to do what we've been teaching you and just decided to do your own thing, and there's nothing we could do about it. So but yeah, it's a very sombering, especially once you get into force on force, where people think, well, I'm a good shooter, therefore I'm good at tactics, or hey, I did really good at my, as you were talking about before, those scan and shoots, or I'm really good at shooting around a VTAC barricade, therefore I can do CQB very, very well.
Right. Yep.
So,
did you guys ever do those like milsim airsoft things, like 24-hour events and all that?
I've done 3 or 4 of them back in like 2000, and so I started my airsoft my first airsoft career like in 2005 in high school, and we had a organization outside of Kansas City where I was from. They did like a couple Cold War-esque scenarios, so there were like 2-3 days in like bumfuck Nebraska sometimes, whereas the column block versus NATO in the 80s. But nothing like it I've seen now. Like what you see now with like
Blue Jean operator.
Blue
he's
Jean,
always
like Milsim East and Milsim West. They were just starting off, I think, when I was getting started, but they weren't as big as they were today. But were you going somewhere with that? Sorry, I went on my tangent.
No, I wasn't. I was just wondering if it'd be worthwhile doing, because I've nenever done one of the full like 24-hour things.
They are definitely, and this is, I'm speaking from a 17-year-old kid had the only military experience I had was JRTC at that time. They are a fantastic event, especially if you get a good team, and you're kind of you're going with some buddies, going with some friends, and you're there willing to more learn than you are just to go out and not do like a speed soft thing. We're just going to run down the field, shoot at some people, get hit, and then walk back and get ready for the next game. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, we have a company out of Kansas City area called S&S Training Solutions. They do a winter forge, which is they use Miles gear, which is not necessarily the same, but it's as close as you possibly could get in this area anyway. And I think it's a 48-hour field exercise that you start with an op order, or for those uninitiated, an operations order. You have force on force, and you go out and plan and either execute an attack or try to defend. And they do it in mid to late winter, so sometimes it's nice weather, sometimes it's horrible weather. So you get to test a whole bunch of different things. You get to test tactics, you get to test your cold weather preparedness, you get to test your gear, all at the same time that you're doing force on force with basically glorified laser tag. So I've yet to do that, but I have been very interested. It's just, how things are. Everybody knows, time.
Work and family.
Yep.
Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
but no, it's, as Mark was saying, it's one of those, and you were hitting it on the head too. It's like, go play airsoft with the boys out in the field, or going to like a CQB house and playing indoors is a completely different. It's a great way to test speed soft or like CQB tactics. But then the second you get out to like a MILSIM event, it's op orders, it's a lot of walking, it's a lot of mission prep, mission planning. Like you said, you've done military before, a little bit in the reserve, so I'm pretty sure you've done an FTX where you've gotten op orders and you've done 6 lanes. It's akin to that, only it's the op 4 actually fights back, and they usually fight back better than you, and then you're like, oh crap, my op order was not great. So
okay, cool. I'm gonna have to get in one of those sometime.
Yeah, it's definitely like I said, it's a learning experience.
It's
all the
a
way
vibe.
around. It is.
It's a vibe.
Yep.
So you talked a lot about dry firing as well with your programming. What's some of the tools, like what outside of just having a unloaded gun and a holster? What's some of the things that you and a timer probably? What some other like products have you used that you recommend people should maybe look at getting if they're trying to get almost a dry fire range in their basement or mom's garage or wherever you might be playing at?
Yeah, I think if you're using a Glock, which likely most guys are, or a striker pistol that doesn't have a tactile trigger after it's been, broke. So once you get that first trigger break and it's just kind of like dead, that's not really fantastic to feel as you're dry firing. There's a lot of high level shooters that they deal with that, right? You're just going to take your finger off and simulate what it would actually feel like on the live trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you have a Glock and you're getting into this and you have something that is going to go dead on you, it is probably worthwhile to get like just one of those dry fire mags or a smart dry fire mag, the ones with the lasers in them now.
Yep.
So you can actually do a full trigger reset every time. And it's not going to be, 1-to-1 to your actual trigger, but it's at least teaching you to get your finger off completely and then push through hard. And with dry fire too, you want to ensure that you're really slapping back into that trigger, whether it's dead or simulated live, so that we're not getting that trigger freeze, right? Sometimes when we go relaxed and dry fire and you go out to the range and you're trying to really slap that trigger fast, you've been dry firing for a long time in a very lazy manner, your finger doesn't put the force required to reset the trigger or to actually break it, and you'll get that trigger freeze, which is, we've all experienced that. And if you go hard in dry fire, that tends to kind of defeat that problem in live fire. So that'd be one of the things. It's a more of a cheaper tool. It's around like the $100 range to get one of those, just to have a nice tactile trigger. But other than that, man,
they're super nice people. We met them at SHOT for the past 2 years. Every time we go over to their booth, they're super knowledgeable about their product. They usually have like 1 or 2 booths actually now. Yeah. And they're doing some cool stuff with not only just the dry fire mag itself, but then the dry fire mag, the smart one. They're starting to get incorporated some of the digital ranges. So now it's syncing up to devices. So it's giving you that trigger reset, but also if you're doing, I don't know if they have anything with Mantis, but they had a couple like
I thought they were trying to collaborate with them.
I think it was either Mantis, that Blue Angel one that we saw, the Israeli one. They had a product that they did with, and then Virtual Shot, the Australian thing, is another. It's funny. I won't go on my tangent real quick, but Virtual Shot, they have advertisements on the range, like billboards for the dry fire mag. And if you accidentally shoot the dry fire mag billboard, it actually pulls up the dry fire website.
That's awesome. So, well played.
Yeah. So dry fire mag, what else would you kind of recommend people look at getting to up their game?
It depends where they're at, man. Honestly, if they're just starting out, I would leave it at the dry fire mag until you really understand what you're trying to get out of dry fire. I went full bore in the other direction, wasted so much damn money. I got the SERP pistols and the Sim 7s and all the different simulators, and it's sitting there in a pile now. I'll pull up the simulator from time to time because that smart dry fire mag is fantastic with that. When I'm running the Glock, you can just throw that mag in and it's giving you a laser that you can shoot the sim with, which is sweet because that's your actual gun now that you're using with your actual optic, and you're getting a laser out of it that's resetting, which is sweet. So I think that's probably the best thing that I've got going right now in terms of practicality. I'll usually run the sim with that smart dry fire mag if I'm doing something in that manner. But for the most part, man, like 90% of my dry fire is just my gun now. And now that being said, all my guns now have a very tactile trigger. Like I have the GPT in one of them and a Timney in the other, and all the Canic triggers. Even when you break the trigger, it's still very tactile after, and you have a little bit of a give there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can simulate that a lot nicer, right? Then so I don't have to run the dry fire mag. Yeah, I would leave it bare bones, man, or get the dry fire mag if you're starting out, and then if you are a few months into it and you're really understanding what you're getting out of the dry fire, then start adding the gimmicks in. And honestly, man, a lot of them are gimmicks, right?
Right.
I would honestly just try to stay away from all of that until you're really understanding, the honesty in dry fire and the actual practicality of getting your hands on the gun and what you're trying to get from it. Like just picking your pistol up and pointing it at targets without having the mindset of this is a live gun in my hands and this is going to happen on the live range. If I don't treat my grip properly here and I'm actually honest with it and I don't treat my sights properly, I'm not going to get the results on the live fire range, right? And you start throwing the simulators up and you're just kind of slapping the trigger because you don't need a good grip to do that, and you're still sending the laser out and it's hitting the targets. That's not building honesty to the same degree that you can just really getting behind your sights and saying, okay, yeah, I saw those move on the trigger brake, that sucked. Or I did my transition, I kind of dragged off the target there, or my eyes weren't in the right spot. All those things are just, that's all you, man. That's one-on-one with you and the gun and your brain to just be honest with the results you're actually seeing. And until you can be really honest with that, I wouldn't add anything to it.
That's very good. You have a room that's just filled with like IPSC targets where you're just transitioning.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have the IPSC target like light switches? Have you seen those yet?
Yep.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you just replace your light switch cover with like IPSC targets.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what are some of the other things that you want to discuss as far as where you've been, where you're going, some of the things that you're trying to accomplish with Shepherd development and so on and so forth? Are you looking to do some different trials? Are you looking to kind of advance that? And if you are, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a couple like joint little drills with a couple different companies right now, trying to come up with some stuff there. We got a few different things running in the background that I can't talk about yet, and we'll see where those go. And eventually, I'd like to start running some more full-time classes, or sorry, I shouldn't say full-time, but I'd like to start running actual classes with a group of guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got one coming up in May over in Switzerland, hopefully, if that comes through.
Oh yeah, like just everyone
just
casually
casual.
show up and go shoot in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my hope, is just try to get more on the training side, and that's just balancing with my actual job right now.
Yeah, that's always the challenge with everything. I know it with everything that I'm working on right now. Just kind of get on my little soapbox that if you can, obviously all of us have full-time job and everything, but then I just
do you
man? Easy now. But I just got back from Texas shooting competition this weekend. I'm heading out to Wyoming to visit.
Yeah, do you work a full-time job?
I got Kalashnikon coming up here,
and
then you're on to Savasta. I can't go, by the way.
Was the Texas one the AK competition?
Yeah,
Kalash
Bash, yeah.
77th,
And then
nice.
Yeah, and then just here coming up in a couple weeks is another AK competition called Kalashnikon's out in Missouri, and then at the end of this month I get an opportunity to go and tour Zistava, USA. So very very AK heavy on my side. So
I work a full-time job, but I'm going away every weekend for 4-day weekends.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, my girlfriend is pissed right now.
Yeah.
So,
so we talked a lot about guns, talked a lot about training. We talked a lot about the science behind everything. Now, every guest I usually try to bring something up or bring this question up. So outside of like the firearms world, what other nerdy thing are you into? Because we all have that other side nerd that we don't want to talk about.
It's
where
feet
it's-
pics for Jeff.
Huh?
Ah,
I did not. I literally did not hear you. I
I
was.
said it's feet pics for
Oh
Jeff.
no! I thought we were going to go with the hot dog fanatic.
Oh, the glizzies, yeah.
So what's the outside of the whole firearms thing?
Yeah, what do you use to decompress outside of firearms training, your work, all that type of stuff?
Geez, man, it's lightsaber fights with the kids right now.
Oh, that's
I
good.
mean, hey.
That's good.
What lightsaber are you running?
It's a Darth Maul, you know.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of gaming. I don't do a lot of that anymore. Geez, man, nerdy stuff. I don't know. We just watched Lord of the Rings last week. It's pretty
Nice.
nerdy.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
we had a guest that talked. We I think we went on like another hour tangent about overlanding.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
Okay, right on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Speaking of nerdy stuff, and you said gaming, I don't know. Have you checked out Fallout, the show yet?
no, because
I have not.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. I've binged like the first 3 episodes, and it's fantastic.
I've heard
Wow.
absolutely the complete opposite of
Oh no.
that.
Is it actually free on Amazon, or is it one of those ones you have to get like the Paramount or the
No,
other
no, it should-
subscriptions?
I'm almost 100% sure. I've got a couple of different subscriptions, so I'm pretty sure that it's free.
And this is what everyone does bad with those kind of shows is they make it for the people that are interested, like, you know, the people that played Fallout, people played Halo, people played Witcher. Try to watch any of those shows with someone who's not played any of those games. It's just Question City. I tried to watch the first episode of Witcher with my wife
right.
a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Okay, so there's like an order of like people that take like vampire, and you go with like an hour-long explanation of how we got to where we are because the show never got you there." And then she's like, "That's too much backstory. I don't want to watch this." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's 100%."
And that's what I would say that Fallout has done a little bit better is that they've kind of built up. I've never played any of it. I've watched my brother-in-law play the original from like 1999 for like 30 minutes. And that's the only exposure I really have besides the memes and stuff like that. And the show has actually kind of described what's going on. And so a layman like myself can follow along and enjoy. So, you know, take that for what you will.
So were you so you said you did a lot of gaming. Did you ever try that Ready or Not game yet?
I did, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I love talking about that game because it's a lot of fun to play that game when there's 2 ways to kind of play that game. There's playing like Call of Duty where you just kind of run and gun and hope for the best. And then if you start actually applying like real life tactics to that game. So for those who are uninitiated, like Mark over here,
I have no idea.
Ready or Not, you hear that name and you're like, okay, what game is this? It's like it's a very tactical SWAT shooter. Like
Okay.
very tactical. I mean, it's
Very unforgiving.
It's very unforgiving, yes. It's a little bit more forgiving now than it used to be. It used to, like, the AI would shoot you through walls if you were fucking around, which is, I loved it. My buddies hated it. But very unforgiving and hyper realistic, where, you know, how you open the door changes everything. You can flashbang things out. You can shotgun breach. You can kick it. You can try lock picking things. Tons of fun, very unforgiving, but using actual like on cover tactics, off cover tactics, clearing rooms from outside, learning the difference between center fed and corner fed rooms, and actually applying all those. It was one that game actually nailed it, how all those tactics play together. And then if you suck at shooting, well, you just suck at the game. But so I assume then that you were super good at it then.
Negative. I put a few days into it, and you definitely have to have people that, you know, want to play it properly, like you're saying there, right?
Yeah.
Which I did not have at the time, so I didn't last very long in there.
It's kind of like real life. If you have a bunch of good dudes knowing what they're doing, build a community and build a following, you'll do good. If you try to clear a house with a snub-nosed 357 Magnum by yourself, it's not gonna go so high.
They have push pull doors now, or are they all just like still push?
I think they all still are push doors. I think the last time I played, it's been a couple of weeks because everyone's gone on to Helldivers or just stopped playing video games all entirely. But growing old, they thought I told it was going to be fun. I have all this free time, and then you're like, oh, never mind.
We've been lied to all our lives. Yeah.
So that's another thing I bring up about this podcast. The only reason this podcast started was I tried to convince my wife I can monetize me talking with one of my good friends for about 2 hours about absolutely nothing. So
is it working?
No.
We're still new at this, so we'll see what happens.
You guys are killing it. You're killing it, man.
This is episode what, 6, 7, 8?
This will be depends on exactly when I air it. It'll be either 8 or 9.
Okay. Well,
Season 2.
season 2.
Yep.
The season thing killed me. Like,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, it means
what season do I get killed off at?
What's that?
What season do I get killed off?
That's solely up to you, man. This is choose your own adventure.
I already got replaced for 2, but we're not going to go there. Okay, so Jay, we covered everything from your training program, what's coming down the pipe, why you love Glock so much, and why they're so superior to every other pistol platform. You don't do a whole lot of rifles though. What's up with that? Like, everything is a handgun oriented thing.
Yeah, a couple reasons.
And it's expensive.
Yeah, 10-4. They got banned in Canada like 3 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So I can't put those on.
Yep, I remember
radio.
that. Okay. No. Okay. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm still training that. It's generally though, like I'm putting. I always say 90%. Like I use that way too much, 90-10. But I would say it's about 90% handgun, 10% rifle, just because it translates really only in one direction. You can be a very good rifle shooter and not a very good pistol shooter. But if you're a good pistol shooter, you're likely going to be a decent rifle shooter. Especially if you understand what's going on with that handgun and how to fix the issues you're having, you can apply that to the rifle, just the connection, the stock, and the relaxation, the tension, all that kind of stuff.
Don't worry, brother. We'll liberate you guys soon.
Thanks, man. I'm probably just going to liberate myself soon, man. I don't know. I'm on a 5-year plan here. I got state citizenship, so we'll see what happens.
Congratulations. Hey, it's easy to walk across the board and you got it.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, don't try to get too political. But yeah, and it shows how much Americanized I just had in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, he has problem from Minnesota or something. I don't know.
I've got that northern twang.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you betcha, don't you know? I have a lot of family from the Dakotas, so like when I go up there and start drinking, it just comes out of it's kind of like you just naturally go back to your roots.
Yep.
So
yep.
Do I sound like a Canadian?
I don't think you sound like Canadian, but every once in a while you can pick it up.
You hit the boot, the O's.
Yeah.
The O's.
Oh damn! Oh, I sound retarded. Oh.
Well, hey, it worked for. Do you listen to Seaburn Art at all? The Art and War podcast. Oh, it's actually hilarious. There's 2 dudes. One guy was an active duty Army officer or Army NCO from like Colorado, and the other one was a Canadian like artist. Mm-hmm. And eventually now the Canadian has been liberated. He's well and safe. We've seen him several times. Nate, I know you don't listen to this podcast, but I'm happy you're now one of us.
Yep.
For now, like I don't know what's going to happen. Do you watch movies at all?
Oh, bro, I lived under a rock, but yeah, hit me. What do you got?
I was say the new Civil War movie that came out.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, don't! It's terrible. I haven't seen it. I've seen enough to know it's terrible.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was not good. But originally, what was going to be really cool about that movie, I think, was as cool as a modern Civil War can be. Is the way they initially started showing how the states are going to separate and how that was going to, and everyone laughed because what happened in that movie, what they talked about originally was that Texas became its own republic and California did. And then California and Texas joined forces. And everyone's like, that will never happen in this world. And I beg to differ. I think if this played out, they would, because it would be Texas looking at California. It's like, hey, I hate you and you hate what I'm doing, but we also hate the federal government more.
Yep.
Therefore, is this going to get you like J-damned if I talk about federal government? I don't know if that's going to like.
But the other thing too is if Texas and California combined, they would have probably one of the strongest economies.
Oh, they definitely would.
This hemisphere.
Like how easy would it be this? look at it's like, hey, truce, we won't mess with each other. You do your thing, I do my thing. But they're trying to ruin our thing, so let's go get them.
Yes.
That was I saw that and I was like, that's incredibly interesting and really in depth. And then you watch the movie or listen to what happened, and you're like, oh, it was definitely not Trump getting definitely not assassinated for definitely not January 6th, part 4.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Well,
it was. Yeah,
I'll probably still watch it just so I can be disgusted at myself.
it's not overtly bad. Don't think of it as a war movie. Think of it as a road trip.
Yeah,
Is what I got told.
War
The
movie.
road
You guys
trip.
watching Shogun? That's on Amazon, right?
you
I
know, my
want to.
son just asked.
I want to.
My son
Oh,
just
man, it's
asked me
good.
about that. I was like, man, I haven't started it yet. He said it was really good.
Yeah, they nailed it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
Again, it was one of those. I was going to start watching it, turned it on, it had subtitles. My wife said, "Absolutely not. I will not watch something in subtitles." I'm like, I don't know if this is like just the opening scene. She goes, "Nope, we're not watching no subtitles."
Again, I can't read, so
Yeah, I don't know if they have like is it solely Japanese and then they have a subbed version and a dubbed version, or
No, it's solely Japanese, I believe. There's a
oh,
English mixed in there. But yeah, it's probably like 60% Japanese.
oh, okay, cool. Well, for all those all 2 anime nerds that listen to our podcast, we'll probably get no, but it's definitely one of the shows I'm going to have to probably watch offline.
Mhm.
When my wife goes to sleep. I had that with Reacher. Reacher. Well, it's Tom Clancy has the Mike from Office Space and 13 Hours.
Yep.
Krasinski.
Yep. So
Oh,
I can't
Mark
pronounce this.
Krasinski. It's Tom Clancy Reacher. It's a pretty good TV series, but wife said no. So
I thought that was Jack Ryan.
maybe
This is a remake, isn't it?
Reacher and Ryan. Those 2 are
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
is,
I'm talking about Jack Ryan.
Hunt for Red October and all that jazz. That is
Jack
John
Ryan.
Kanansky. However you pronounce his name.
So we went to again on another tangent. This 2 weekends ago, we went to Kansas City and went to an office themed pop-up bar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And first of all, it was awful. I paid $14 for an old fashioned with baked beans in it.
Nice.
Not great. And then drunkenly, I look at the poster for this for whatever his name is, and I couldn't remember his name, but I just know it was like Karzinski. So I just like, oh, that's Ted Kaczynski. And like 8 people got super upset with me. Like, no, that's first of all, this is like a very nerdy place. Like everyone was reciting The Office, and then I brought the Unabomber around. And it really offended people. So.
Our favorite MK Ultra participant. You know.
Oh, we have one that's going through our town right now. Actually, I think so.
Oh, wonderful.
Dude, I'll give that for my nerd answer. We've probably like 7 times through watching The Office. Is that nerdy? If we're saying that's nerdy, I'll take that.
Okay, yeah, The Office. Yeah, it was the baked beans was Kevin's baked beans is famous in that.
Yep, I couldn't tell you. I haven't
Got nothing.
I've seen a handful of episodes. I'm more of a it's always sunny in Philadelphia type of guy.
We're a friend's house. I love the show today. I just played like 2 clips and I was laughing my ass off.
What, Friends?
Friends.
You and Nan will get along.
I know we get along. That's why I can come to her basement and record a podcast.
Yeah, I
10
know.
o'clock
Right?
at
You're
night.
both left-handed, so
yeah, that's fair too.
Yeah.
So Shogun. What other shows? What book? Hey, actually, I meant to ask this one because I usually get this one. What book are you reading right now?
Oh,
tell me about you. Like, do you like walk on the beach? Like,
Dude, title of book, Building Shooters, I think was the last one I read. I'm in between books right now, man. Didn't like it. Wouldn't recommend it. Unfortunately.
What was it that just kind of turned you off?
I think it's just a lot of like hiding behind the complexity of things. It was more so how to build a shooting program, and there was an overabundance of like scientific wordage and everything to kind of just mask what we were trying to say, which I don't like. Like, I know I like the science stuff, but like I am a super basic guy. I'm saying super science, but my intelligence level in the science community is probably like a 2% out of 100%. So, and this book was like hovering around like the 90. So I'm like, okay, this is way over my head. Yeah.
That's actually one of the words I absolutely love using in classes to make myself feel smart is proprioception.
There's a lot of proprioception in this book, man.
Okay, cool. I would love this book because I'm like, yeah, just proprioception. There's people looking like, oh my god, I'm sorry, you don't know.
Oh, you don't.
I'm going to gatekeep this information.
I think I'm gonna reread the Adam Brown book again. That's likely going to be the next thing that happens. You guys read that one?
No, I have no.
Fearless. Oh my goodness, gentlemen.
Fearless, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Taking
game
notes.
changer book, man.
Okay.
Yep, makes you feel like an absolute piece of garbage.
Oh.
No,
That's see. I don't need to read a book. I got Hefe right here.
I'm right here.
Yeah, very good story.
Sorry, who's the author? I just typed in Fearless and just gave me Taylor Swift.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm sure she writes some good stuff. Fearless. It's an Adam Brown biography or autobiography there.
Oh, Fearless, the Undaunted Courage.
Yes.
Okay.
Eric Blem. Yeah.
Of the Navy SEAL Team 6, Adam Brown. Okay. Is this a GWAT book about Navy SEALs?
Yes. However, I will.
However, I'm going to.
This is actually worth reading. It's actually worth reading, legitimately.
Yeah, that was hard because back tail end to like even now, even like any GWAT book you pick up, you're just like, is this going to be any good? Like the one I read that absolutely floored me every time was the Mission, the Men and Me.
I haven't read that one.
It's I'm blanking on the author right now, and I'm too lazy to look it up. But it was kind of like the kind of almost the Jocko Willink before Jocko Willink was famous.
Okay.
It was more of this. Hey, this is crazy stuff we did, and not only like GWAT, but like Bosnia and Kosovo. I think the opening scene, like the opening story he tells is they were in Sarajevo, I think, and they were supposed to ambush this HVT. And so what they did was they dressed up as Bigfoot, and stood along the side of the highway. So when the convoy stopped to look at Bigfoot, that's when they lit them up. and he's like, to this day, like you can look in like some book, and it's like there's been one spotting of Bigfoot in like Eastern Europe, and it was. Now, is the story true or not? No, but it makes probably not. But it's a great story to begin like at all. So, you mentioned military service. I meant to go back on this. What'd you do in the military?
Just reserve infantry, man. Like 3 years.
Isn't it mandatory service over there?
No.
Oh.
No, I was actually doing that to so I was going to quit policing at the time and try to go for like the special operations route, and just had that itch, and they scratched it. It's bleeding heavily. Scabbed over now.
They will do that.
Yeah.
What's so the only forgive me, I don't know much about Canadian special like forces. You have the Mounties and like CTF2, and that's really about it, right?
So they have a tier 2, which would be CSOR.
Yeah.
And then underneath the same umbrella of CANSOF, they have JTF2, which would be the tier 1.
Man, that sounds like us, like CANSOF, like Kansas Special Operations Forces.
We should start it. We'll start it.
There we go. Yeah, well,
because we can do it.
Yeah, we're not special operators at all. Like the only helmets like I have worn is the one my mom gave me when I was very young to protect my fragile brain.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. So.
Fair enough.
Well, Jay, is there anything else that you want to cover? We've been going here for a little bit, and we want to
hit the 90-minute mark.
Yeah, we just want to be respectful of your time and everything. But so if there's anything else that you'd like to really touch on, real quick,
was that in Canadian? Like 90?
That's still 90.
Oh, like is it like 90 minutes? Is that like 6 kilometers, or is that like 32?
Hey, listen, man, the metric system is definitely better. I love inches. I think in inches, but the metric system is definitely better.
It's 12 parsecs.
Okay. He's a Star Wars nerd over here. That's his thing.
Hey, man, yeah, Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars: The Lord of the Rings. Where are we going with that?
Man.
And see, I really liked the Hobbit movies.
Right? I thought those were terrible.
Oh,
I agreed. Yes,
I'm saying you took like 100-page book and made it into three
It's all about the Benjamins, man.
Yeah.
But you got
that was a cash.
you got. For me, it's Star Wars. I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I could watch any one of those movies, not the sequel. No, can't do the sequels, but the original and the prequels I could do.
And all the spin-offs.
Yeah.
Do you see the Pandaverse yet?
Rogue One was good.
Rogue One was very good.
Yeah.
I put it up there with Empire Strikes Back. But
Agreed. Yes.
Do you see the South Park episode, the Pandaverse?
No, I haven't seen
No.
it.
Oh, it's Kathleen Kelly who takes over Disney, and her whole thing was at a black chick make her gay.
Oh, that's
And
right.
she keeps on yelling it, and so
Yeah.
like I feel like that's what Star Wars is slowly divulging into. I don't know if you the new series they're coming out with, like the whole.
They got several movies that are coming out. They got a Mandalorian movie that's going to be out in 26. They're not going to do another season of Mandalorian. They're just going to do a movie. They got the Old Republic movie that's going to be out here in a couple of years. So yeah, it's probably going to be a lot.
What I'm upset with the Star Wars universe mainly is they retconned a lot of the. So I used to be a Star Wars nerd until they ruined it for me. So back in like after Episode 1 came out, they had the Jedi Padawan book series, which talked about Obi-Wan's journeys as being a Padawan learner to being a Jedi. And a lot of stuff they cover in that book, and this was all canon at the time. This like retconned it with like, I think it was like Episode 3. This retconned everything.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, then the Clone Wars happened, and nothing that he did in these books mattered. So. And that's that.
That's where the Clone War cartoon series comes in to redo all of that. So
I feel like that they did the whole we went back in time and changed this one thing, and so now everything that happened is Star Trek just did that, I think, recently. They just kind of did one of their throwback series. Just kind of did the they went through a wormhole, and so everything that happened in the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, that all didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
What can happen next? We don't know.
Wow. I hate that. We can all agree that Star Trek is in third place at least.
Nah. Yeah.
As I'm looking at my autographed picture of William Shatner.
Oh no!
I see it right there, right next to.
You guys watch Splat Attack or whatever that was? Was it Splat Attack? Let me look this up here.
I haven't seen that.
With William Shatner, man, he stars in a paintball movie.
I'm gonna have to see that.
Is it like on? Where can we find this?
It is in fact called Splat Attack with William Shatner. Pull it up, man.
Splat Attack.
Splat Attack.
Oh goodness. IMDb. Where are you when I need you?
Splat Attack. This is as good as it sounds.
Yeah, man, it's maximum cringe. Maximum.
There it is, 2002. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's Splat with 2 P's.
Okay. Sci-fi documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. Here we go.
Oh.
We'll have to do like a walk.
I'm sorry. That is guaranteed to be a waste of your life. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's a lot of things that waste my time, man. And this is definitely going to be one of them.
Mostly J-frames, but you know.
Hey, J-frames. Okay, let's talk about the J-frame revolver. Let's not talk about the J-frame revolver.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up here. But one of the things that we like to do before we officially close the episode down is last 30 seconds. Any type of advice, dad jokes, anything like that you got. I hate to put you on the spot, but we'll dish it over to you. Last 30 seconds. What do you got?
My dad advice. Yikes. Just go back to JITs, man. Leave the ego at the door and be an angry toddler. Ask the why questions until you get the proper answers.
You said go back to JITs?
Yeah. That's often a thing like written up on the door frames, right? Leave the ego at the door.
Okay. No.
Yep.
I think if we can do that, right, the questions come and they're answered from the proper stance. Like we're not asking questions in an aggressive manner. We really want to know the answer for the good of everyone, right? Ask the why questions until you get to the root of the issues, right?
Speaking of which, are you going tomorrow?
What's that?
Are you going tomorrow?
Am I going where?
To jiu-jitsu?
Is that tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday.
I thought we go on
I
Tuesdays.
switched. This is my schedule switch. I go.
Oh, you're
Thursday.
going to tell me that you switched schedules?
Yeah,
Well, no, I'm going to go see Dana Carvey.
Who's that?
He's a comedian. He was really, really good friends with the big dude from SNL that died.
You got to be more specific than that, man.
I can't never remember.
I know who
his-
you're exactly talking about.
you know,
It's Charlie
big
Murphy.
man in a little jacket. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
So,
So you're going to be there tomorrow morning because you're going to be.
I don't. We'll talk about that afterwards. Sorry. So, Hefe, your last 30 seconds. Go.
Hey, you should go to jiu-jitsu. That's
Oh, okay.
that's
There
what
we
I
go.
meant.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my a good friend Jacob got me into let me see. That advice is to uncomfortably push your friends. It sucks. It's hard to be the as being the residential bully. It's hard to be the bully, but push your friends, push your peers to be better, even if it gets you the label of being the asshole of the show.
Yeah, that is true.
So go to jiu-jitsu tomorrow.
Okay.
It's no-gi, by the way.
No, I don't have anything for no gi.
You have shorts, don't you? And a t-shirt.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go naked.
My last 30 seconds is when you are at a AK shooting competition, make sure that you keep 5.45 and 2.23 ammunition separate from each other, or you're going to find
someone do that.
Yes.
Is that the picture you sent me? The meme memory with the PSA water?
No. That's drink the free water so I can afford 5.45. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't.
No,
it's
I
steel
ended up-
case, so I was still confused. But
Yeah. Well, I ended up the
You
buddy
did
of
it?
mine, Doug, he handed me a Silver Bear 5.45 round, and I'm like, oh, look at that! I'm running 5.45, I'm running 2.23 Silver Bear too. That's really cool. Oh, what a coinkydink! And instead of handing it back to him, I just stupidly
what happened?
tossed it into
What happened?
Apparently, I loaded it into one of my magazines, and it just ended up being a stuck case.
Okay.
So instead of running stage 8, instead of running like, I don't know, probably 32, 33, maybe 35-second stage, I ran an 80-second stage.
For those who can't see, Mark has like 6 bandages and half a hand.
But you came in 77th.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Would have been 76 if I didn't lose my fucking fingers.
look, guys, it was 72nd. Okay. And so
Oh, damn. Hey,
Yeah.
I did the math, man. You're in the top 20%. That's
there
good.
you go. So with all of that being said, Jay, thank you so much for taking the time tonight to swing by.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, exactly. Where can we find you?
Yeah, my Instagram, ShepDev.online, and website, same thing, ShepDev.online. I'm on YouTube and X now with like 80 followers or something like that. Can't get people over. I would love to have people over on there because it's, my stuff doesn't get flagged and removed over there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's been a hard transition. I feel like everybody's trying to move over to X, but
yeah, well, it sucks. It's a horrible program, but it's your stuff's not getting flagged.
No.
Yeah, I appreciate this, guys. I need to do more of these because I suck at it. I hate doing them. When you guys asked for this, I was like, damn it, man, I don't want to do another podcast.
Is this your first?
That's the third one I've done now. And I just,
Oh,
I really don't like them. I don't like public speaking. I don't like live stuff.
Yeah.
So, and you can obviously tell that, like, I just an awkward little guy here. So I appreciate it. I need this experience, and it's awesome chatting with you guys. You have a fantastic podcast going here.
Well, we surely do appreciate that. As mentioned before, we will have all of your contact information in the description of the podcast, and
include date of birth, social security numbers, maiden names.
Of course.
So we will.
Does Canada's even have social security numbers? Like,
yeah, social insurance numbers.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's that socialism right there.
We're a full dictatorship now, man.
All right. Well, with all of that being said, again, thank you so very much for coming on tonight, and Jefe, thanks for rejoining the podcast.
Stay tuned for more while I was gone.
Yeah, exactly. And we appreciate everybody listening, and Atero Arms for sponsoring the podcast. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We will have a lot of great stuff coming up. We have a long list of people that we're going to be interviewing coming up here in the next couple of months.
Elon Musk, Donald Trump,
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. I
did reach out to her, by the way. I did reach out to her.
Have her email.
Well, I didn't get a response. So
Oh, yeah.
there's that.
Uncle
He's
JP.
busy.
Yeah, right. But with that being said, like I said, we're going to get ahead of here, and we again appreciate everybody's listening. With all of that being said, if I can even speak, words are hard. Don't forget to live, laugh, and learn. Take it easy, guys. Bye.